vicious shot past Dean Anastasiou.
And a good header as well from Ivan Kelic. Now he gets it on his favoured right foot. Tiato down for Viduka. Tiato so quick to recover. Still Tiato with the shot too. And credit to Anastasiadis who got down well. But Tiato made a chance out of nothing there. He beat Panopoulos to the ball, got a toe on it as well, and it was going in.
I know it's hard for the referee in these conditions, Paul, but allowance really has to be made for the sliding tackle, not normally a big feature of the Australian game. But in wet conditions certainly is. That is a yellow. I don't think there's an argument with that. In fact, it's a red.
Get a look at that tackle again. Well, he caught Panopoulos clearly on the side of the ankle, and that's why the South Melbourne player... Well left Boutsianis. Petersen takes over. He knows Boutsianis is working his way outside him again. Trimboli's there. Here's Boutsianis. Trimboli! No penalty. Marusic, deep cross. Good cross. Great goal! Just wondered whether it would be too much for him, but there's your answer. Tremendous aerial power, and it's 1-0 to the Knights. The place where the Melbourne Knights opened the scoring. Flicked on, Viduka, good shot. Viduka's there, great goal. Mark Viduka does it again. For a classy finish.
Absolute class finish. Many forwards would just hit it. The little chip over the advancing keeper.
Forced to chase the game now. But one goal back for them. We'll put them right in it, and it could be from Boutsianis. It is. But they didn't have time to dwell on that for long, because Kelic crossed it over, Trimboli missed it, and Boutsianis tucked it away from 6 metres out.
Well, they are 2-1 to the Melbourne Knights at half-time. Not the scoreline you would have predicted after the sending off of Danny Tiato, but the Melbourne Knights doing terrifically well. It's just a question of how long they'll be able to stand it, particularly under these horrible conditions in the second half, and these conditions are not going to improve at all. Well, Melbourne Knights are out on the field for the second half. We're still waiting for South Melbourne. Let's check the lineups for you. This is the South Melbourne lineup, and it is unchanged from the team which beat Sydney United on Wednesday, which means that Valkanis and Luketa at the back will do the marking job. Valkanis to mark Mark Viduka, and Luketa will probably pick up one of the other players, which means Kelic, Trimboli and Boutsianis wide on the left will be the strike force of South Melbourne, unless they've made a change for the second half. The Melbourne Knights lineup, a couple of changes from last week. Mark Viduka, of course, returns from international duty to replace Joe Spiteri, and David Savinsky has been left out of the side. In comes Lapsansky at number 10. But of course, Danny Tiato, the number 14, is now gone. Let's go to our commentators, Paul Williams and Johnny Warren.
Well, we can confirm that there's no changes to either lineup at this stage as South Melbourne prepare to kick off the second half. But there was a bit of activity from both camps at the halftime break. Waratifi was warming up. Also Kovacevic for the Melbourne Knights. And in the game against Sydney United during the week, Frank Arrock felt that Francis Waratifi changed things around for his side. He came on when it was 0-0. And he had a big impact, of course, and we all know the outcome of that match in Sydney on Wednesday night. And Waratifi will have a part to play tonight, no doubt. But it is a bit part, to be sure. And Mark Viduka is the player who's been centre stage so far.
Well, the talk here, Paul, at half-time was how the 10-man Melbourne Knights, how their legs would stand up to the second half. But I also posed the question on South Melbourne. This is their third game within a week. Sure, they have the man advantage here, but that is a big ask as well. And will be interesting to see now the tactical changes made, particularly by South Melbourne, who didn't cope terribly well in the first half with their one-man advantage. In fact, outplayed for much of that first half by the 10-man Melbourne Knights team.
Trimboli touching it wide to Kellich. Ponduiak. The Knights may be restricted to fast raids. There's plenty of pace when the Knights do go forward with Marusic and Ponduiak. Silic always there as well. And the point of it all is big Mark Viduka in the centre. Marusic again. Viduka's there. Made it awkward for Anastasiadis, even though he couldn't have reached it himself. And Petersen comes away for South Melbourne. Polak feeding Trimboli on the left. Ball just holding up. And pressure causes mistakes. That is a simple formula which any coach will tell you, and there's plenty of pressure coming on from South Melbourne now. And an awkward bounce. Liketa lets it bounce. Viduka was just lurking there, but Liketa intervened, and then now it's Ponduiak wide on the right. Gets past Muscat. Viduka's in the centre. Credit to Anastasiadis.
Well, all that trouble started by South Melbourne defence allowing the ball to bounce. I mean, even in good conditions, that is a sin, let alone in conditions like this. That's absolute, almost fatal for South Melbourne. It's very important for South Melbourne that Mickey Petersen is more involved in the second half. It was a relatively quiet first half by his standards. He's had an outstanding season. He is the playmaker, and they need him much more involved in this second half if they're to turn the match around.
The Knights continue to have their problems in the finals. Now it's Buya Basic who's down.
Well, the claims from Melbourne Knights players, no doubt, that that was a similar challenge on Buya Basic to the one that Tiato was red carded for. Exactly the same challenge.
Studs up from Polak there. The stretcher comes over for Buya Basic, but he is hobbling over to the touchline for further treatment. It's the danger of sliding tackles in these conditions when the studs are up. Play will continue. And it's the Knights who have possession on the far side there with the throw-in, which will be taken by Silic.
And a Waratifi warming up for South Melbourne, Paul.
Panopoulos goes back. Kuzmanovic making the extra man coming forward. The ball's still in play, amazingly. And Marusic now trying to clear the ball down the line. Buya Basic takes the field once again. Panopoulos couldn't get past his man. Marusic. Now good working back from Panopoulos there to win possession, feeding Petersen. Ritsianis on that left-hand side. Cleared by Mark, only as far as Muscat. Just towed inside there to Trimboli. Muscat there. He's claiming it was shoulder to shoulder. free kick has gone against him. He's one player out of a number on the park who will have to watch their step. He brings a yellow card into the match. And another yellow card tonight would mean he'd miss the final. Waratifi continues to get changed and will cross to Les Murray.
Thank you, Paul. That change at Waratifi is imminent now. It'll be Panopoulos to come off. According to Frank Orrock, as you can see, Panopoulos has not been himself today. He's not injured, he's fine, but he hasn't been able to cope with his task today. So Francis Waratifi coming in.
I think it's more the conditions not being suited to Panopoulos' style of play. He's limping slightly as well. But Francis's experience and the type of player he is, you expect to add a little bit more to that South Melbourne attack.
Former Melbourne Knights player Francis Waratifi. He'd dearly like to get one against his old club, but it's the Knights forward here with Marusic. Viduka's in the centre. Ponduyak. Viduka! What an incredible game for Mark Viduka. As we're plotting the Knights' downfall with the Waratifi coming on as substitute. The Knights broke down the left with Marusic. And we know how he can measure a pass. And he measured one here. It came off Luketa. Viduka got his toe in. And that's 3-1 to the Knights.
The question's asked, how was Marusic so free? Remembering that South Melbourne had the delivery from Marusic again involved in setting up 2 of the goals, and of course Viduka finishing splendidly again.
Well, that's his 21st goal of the season, and he's only played in 22 matches. He has always had such a phenomenal strike rate in the National Soccer League. Who's to say that he's finished with 3? Silic down the line for Ponduyak. Taking on his man. Working his way into the penalty area. Now Waratifi for his first touch. Wasn't the best either, but it's good to see Francis back in action after such a disappointing season for him with that broken arm. And he may yet play a major part in this preliminary grand final. Awkward challenge there by Luketa, who provides South Melbourne's defence with some real Italian discipline. Well, before the game, Mark Viduka was really carrying the weight of an entire community on his shoulders. As broad as they are, you just wondered whether it was too much for a young player. He's still only 19 years of age, remember. But if you had any doubts whether he could handle the pressure, 3 goals later, there's your answer. Now all the pressure is on the side in blue. There's players everywhere here for the Melbourne Knights. South Melbourne seem in disarray. Silic, good ball in. This time it was Pondoyak who got the final touch. And that's a clever ball to find Marusic wide on the left. He's running at defenders here. Still Marusic trying to thread Viduka through. Lapsansky lets it go.
Well, at this stage, Paul, you'd be forgiven for thinking that Melbourne Knights were the one with 11 players and South Melbourne 10. There needs to be a dramatic turnaround by South Melbourne. Incidents like that, the pressure starting to tell, passes going astray, giving the ball away very easily in midfield was certainly not the way to turn this match around.
And Mirko Basic asked to pit his considerable wits against Frank Arok, who is arguably the best coach in the country in this one-off game situation. But Basic has proved his match here. We've got Marusic, who's been switched to the left-hand side of midfield in place of Tiato. And he's finding so much room. As the Knights prepare to make a change. And it's not surprising that Oli Pondoyak, a striker, is making way for Ante Kovacevic. Pondojak's done his job here tonight. Massive round of applause both for Pondoyak and Kovacevic. Another one of the many young Knights players. It's a yellow card, and I'm not sure who that's for, but we'll have to find out, because that could be crucial. Here it is here, Valkanis and Viduka. Valkanis pulled him back, and should South Melbourne make the final, Mike Valkanis will miss the match for his second yellow card. Awkward for Anastasiadis. He came and punched though. Viduka was applying the pressure, as you would expect. Lapsansky now. Diamicis. High ball in. Horvath still there. And they all missed it.
Kovacevic going straight to Paul Trimboli, indicating the reason for the change is to tighten things at the back a little bit for Melbourne Knights.
Marth pushing into a more midfield role, perhaps.
Well, Marth still with Kellich. And Horvath behind.
Anastasiadis took a knock and he came to punch that ball. Kovacevic just limbering up, prepared for the task at hand. And the task at hand is about half an hour of play left. We'll stop South Melbourne from scoring. Now let's cross to Les Murray.
Thank you, Paul. Just talking to Mirko Basic, the change on Pondoljak was tactical, but there was an additional reason for it. He's got a very bad ankle. He's been kicked twice, he says, in the back of his left ankle. So part of it was that reason. By the way, Mirko Basic absolutely scathing about referee Richard Lorenz. He says his performance tonight is a scandal. He's giving out yellow cards for nothing and red cards for nothing. So he's not a happy man at the moment about the referee, but I'm sure he's a lot happier about the scoreline.
Not usual for winning coaches to complain about referees, but in the referee's defence, Richard Lorenz, I think we've disagreed with a lot of his decisions tonight, is that in these conditions it is very difficult not only for players but for referees.
Kevin Muscat, 3 goals in the last 2 games. How they dearly have one now. Valkanis. Muscat again. Plenty back for the Knights, and that will run away for a goal kick.
Well, it's not the way South Melbourne are going to get back in the game. They have to build it up, to switch the play, to use the flanks, to exert their one-man superiority. And by just hitting the ball long into the heart of the Melbourne Knights defence, where Marth, Kovacevic and Horvath are so strong in the air, is really not the way to go.
And South Melbourne, who've played in the preliminary grand final every year for the last 3 years, and they've been beaten on all 3 occasions. Staring at another defeat here, the only difference being the opponents, because Adelaide City have beaten them the last 3 years on the trot. And for once, Adelaide City already in the final, waiting for their opponents. The scoreline remains the same. It will be the Melbourne Knights who will be facing them next week. To be taken by Demichis. We're just
another change for South Melbourne, an injury. Behind the play to, I can't pick, to Valkanis. Well, that would be Paul, you're aware of South
probably
Mangos?
Antopoulos, I'd say.
Antopoulos.
Yeah, back from Qatar.
Antopoulos.
It's a sad day for Valkanis, because he's not only not completing the match, but his booking will see him miss the final next week. Not that it's looking likely that his side is going to make it at this stage. But he has had an outstanding season, Mike Valkanis. He's made that central defensive position his own. Con Anthopoulos, back from the heat and warmth of Qatar to a Melbourne winter.
And marking his captain, young Socceroo captain.
Mark Viduka talked about the great spirit amongst the boys over in the Middle East. There will be no love lost there for the remaining 25 minutes or so.
Not a good time to mark Viduka either, I wouldn't think, with a hat-trick under his belt when you come on to try and contain him. The key, too, has been the service, the quality of particularly Marusic's service to Viduka has been first class.
South Melbourne, they need a goal. Polak with the overhead, just cleared away, but not really convincingly. Straight into the puddle, which makes it hard. Leketa takes over. And a credit there, you can see that shot in the crowd. It's a packed house here at Olympic Park. And they've seen a great game. Which is not over yet, of course. Jason Polak. Marusic in hard. No one forward for the Knights. Marusic prepared to chase on his dome and do the job which he's done. Demichis goes long. Anthopoulos. Polak back just to get there before Viduka. Leketa just bringing Petersen into the play, which is what South Melbourne need. Leketa again, scored against the Knights in the 1-1 draw in the final round to really put South Melbourne into the top 6. 25 minutes remaining here at Olympic Park. It's the Knights 3, South Melbourne 1. And if you've just joined us, Tiato was sent off after 13 minutes for the Knights. So it's all the more remarkable, this performance here by Mirko Basic's side. Knights yet to win an NSL championship. They've won 4 of the last minor premierships, which means they were first past the post in normal league play. They've never managed to go all the way. NSL awards, of course, coming up on Tuesday night. South Melbourne have no representatives in any category, which is highly unusual for such a successful club. Though some will say that Frank Arrock deserved a nomination for getting his side to the top 6. Melbourne Knights, of course, well represented. Viduka in 2 categories, as you would expect: Young Player of the Year and Player of the Year. Awaratifi just working his way in there, and he's won a corner. He's such an awkward player to get off the ball. The bounce of the ball favoured him there. He got past Marth and he fell over and won a corner. Tiato and Mirko Basic, the other representatives for the Knights there. Popoulos fell over. Musket. Managed to squeeze the ball back to Musket. The rain continues to come down at Olympic Park. I don't think it stopped the whole match. A bit like Marusic and his work in midfield. And in this second half, he's been the difference between the two sides, really. Frank Arrock just asking for him to be closed down far quicker than he was. Mike Petersen with the free kick. Virtually every player in the Melbourne Knights penalty area, and it was Marth who won it in the air. Now let's let it run. And Horvath with the long clearance. Andrew Marth, of course, who signed for South Melbourne at the start of the season. And the contracts were done, but he changed his mind. And it went to tribunal. He was allowed to stay, a Melbourne Knights player, but he could have been on the opposite side tonight. As Juric comes out and gathers the ball bravely. Waratifi causing the problems there with his height. We just asked to show some bravery, which the whole team has done, really, the whole match. He continues on without any treatment. Waratifi. It's a free kick. Mike Petersen. And that's in between 2 players in Musket and Anthopoulos. And the Knights have won the free kick. And although Lapsansky thought about taking a quick one, I'm sure he had several calls from teammates to take his time. And one from Mirko Basic as well. Petersen for South Melbourne. They need a goal. Waratifi, can he provide one? Putsianis, it's over the line. And the goal's been given. And Putsianis puts South Melbourne back in this match. There's around 90 minutes remaining for South Melbourne. Or should we say for the Melbourne Knights to hang on. But Waratifi was causing problems. He took 3 players out there. And Putsianis slipped in and Juric helped it over the line.
We've made the point, Paul, how important it is that Mickey Petersen's in the game. That ball is from him to Waratifi. Gets over the line, however. But Mickey Petersen has to be in the game for South Melbourne to win this. And Waratifi's presence has started to cause a few problems for Melbourne Knights down this right flank. And the question was raised at half-time of who's going to stand up better. The 10-man Melbourne Knights, are they going to get leg weary, or is it going to be the 3 matches in a week South Melbourne? Well, we're certainly going to find out now in this really testing final 20 minutes.
Well, we've got 2 sides that are standing toe-to-toe now, slugging it out. And the last man standing has a place in the grand final. And Ange Postecoglou and Frank Arok watching a bit more intensely now.
Just going back to that goal, I mean, unlucky for Frank Juric because he carried the ball over the line as he slid. In normal circumstances, he wouldn't have carried the ball like that.
The South Melbourne supporters, they thought it went in, but it was a side netting effort. But again, Waratifi, he is really providing the spark that South Melbourne need. Frank Arok was convinced he'd have a part to play here. And that's been the case so far. Corner to South Melbourne. Taken by Polak. Juric comes. Riketa. So close. And they're all on their feet. And that's 2 shots within a minute on either side of the upright. It was Viduka who cleared it. Niketa Trivoli with a touch. And it was a great try. Waratifi is the target. Diamichis beats him in the air. Anything, of course, is possible in these conditions, and we've seen some phenomenal soccer considering. Silic, great ball, onside. Well, the flag went up very late. And South Melbourne continue. Petersen now feeding Alex Kuzmanovic, surging forward. And Mark Silic comes away and he's been brought down. Well, that offside decision just a few moments earlier was touch and go. .15 minutes remaining in the preliminary grand final. It's Mark Viduka 3, Kombutsianis 2. It's 3 for the Knights, 2 for South Melbourne. And Silic now. Marusic bundled over surely, but play on. Riketa comes away and feeds Petersen. And Muscat's forward now. Still Muscat. He's had a tremendous final series. They're slogging it out here. And it's just hacked clear to Petersen. South Melbourne come again. Petersen prepared to take the ball away from the water before he makes his pass. Everyone back for the Knights. Good ball in, a turn, off the line. What action here at Olympic Park. Desperation from the Knights.
And Petersen an integral part again.
Kilic is there. Juric saves. Fantastic save, Frank Juric. And South Melbourne are bombarding the Melbourne Knights. And look at that from Juric. They may look back on that as a match-winning save. But the match isn't over yet. That'll be a throw-in for the Knights, which is just a momentary lapse for them to gather some breath and reorganise and gee each other up to continue the battle. There'll be no pretty stuff now from the Knights. Horvath calling his defence out. He wants them all forward, level with him. Kilic calling for it long and in the air. Viduka challenge back, and he appeared to win the ball there. But the tackle was from behind, according to Richard Lawrence. And we've seen some goals from this position already. Petersen with the ball. Kilic is there. And Butianis, it came onto his chest too quickly. And John, if this was the grand final, we couldn't be happier with the quality of the game on show.
Credit to both teams. The conditions, of course, always make for a more interesting game, if you like. But I think the trend now is, as we are seeing, will continue of South Melbourne just having to throw now everything at the Knights, and the Knights doing everything to hang on.
Petersen jumped in there. He did play the ball, but it was the sort of tackle that Richard Lawrence has been stamping down on all game, and it was dangerous. No doubt about it.
Challenge. Mickey Petersen claiming, of course, he got the ball.
Well, according to my calculations too, that's Petersen's second booking in the final, so that could be crucial should South Melbourne get up tonight, and that's not beyond them at this stage. Viduka, the Lone Ranger up front for the Knights. He's asked to do an awful lot. He's already done an awful lot, of course. But they're looking for more, and Luquetta's looking for more. He's fed a Waratifi in, great ball. Pulled back. Hacked away by Horvath. Just over 10 minutes remaining. The Melbourne Knights 3, South Melbourne 2. Anthopoulos into Butianis' feet. Polak. Well, according to Frank Arrock, he has really seen his players toughen up in the last few weeks. They've had to show real character to get this far. And now playing with injuries and niggly little incidents that earlier on in the season they may have been rested for. They've shown the courage, they've shown the character, and again they're asked to show both of those particular assets in the players' repertoire. And the Melbourne Knights are visibly tiring. You can see the effect that having playing with a man less is having on them. They've won a free kick. Viduka's the only player in there with 3 South Melbourne players. Now Lapsansky goes in, but I'm sure you can guess the target here. And South Melbourne hurry the ball forward to Awaratifi. Petersen quickly. Polak as well. Petersen with a delightful dummy. Kuzmanovic forward as well. Polak with the early ball. Kelic winning it. Fell behind Butsianis, who concedes the free kick. Eight minutes remaining at Olympic Park. Tifi going through the middle. Clean challenge by Dimitris. Just quite the roars from the South Melbourne supporters. But he's got some fresh legs. He's very quick, of course. No one forward for the Knights to play this ball to. Muscat is booked. That's his second booking of the final series as well. So another player will be missing for South Melbourne. Could they field a side if they made the final? That is the question.
Well, it's Valkanis out, Petersen, Muscat.
Down, looks like the number 12, Marusic, purchased from Croatia to take the place of Joe Biskic, of course, who many thought was irreplaceable, but Marusic has filled his shoes very nicely. And he's played an integral part tonight, involved in 2 of the goals. Go off for further treatment. The Knights down to 9 men. David Savinsky warming up. Lapsansky. Oh, that's a booking for Lapsansky. And you can see him pleading with Richard Lorenz there. And that's because he too has just received his 2nd yellow and will miss the final next week. And it was a silly foul from Lapsansky, really, especially coming into the game with a booking. And he's a very disappointed young man. And while we're looking at Lapsansky, it's David Savinsky, who's just on the touchline, preparing to come on.
They're really building a wall with this, aren't they? With Savinsky coming on now for the midfielder, Marusic.
Substitution for the Melbourne Knights. Number 4, David Savinsky, coming on.
Marusic, who did make his way back onto the field. You can see there, he's physically exhausted. His natural game is one of athleticism, and he has worked for 2 players tonight with Tiato going off. And they're lining up in red shirts, and they've thrown down the gauntlet to South Melbourne. Get past us if you can. There'll be plenty of time added on, of course, but we're into 4 minutes of normal time remaining. Petersen playing deep. Long ball to Awaratifi. And that is a goal kick. particular hurry. Aiming for Viduka. He's the only man forward. Now he's joined by Dimitris, the pacey left back of the Knights. Anthopoulos concedes the throw. Dimitris will leave it. Because Mark Silic takes a bit of throw-in, but just because he wants to use up some time. There's no one to throw it to except Viduka down the line. He'll probably try and work the corner.
Well, that will be the tactic, obviously, from Melbourne Knights now, is just to use up the clock on every single occasion they can. Just to use up a few more seconds. And ideally keep the ball down South Melbourne's end of the field. From South Melbourne's point of view, they really have to, even more so than ever now, to stretch Melbourne Knights, not to play through the middle where they really have this wall put up now of Savinsky, Horvath, Kovacevic and Marth.
It's desperation stuff for the Knights in defence. Horvath only finds Petersen. Polak. Awaratifi back to Petersen. The Knights haven't stopped running. Trimboli lets it run, but it'll run over the goal line. And that's more time in favour of the Knights. Richard Lawrence is watching very closely for any time wasting. He's geeing up Horvath and Juric to get a move on. Long ball for Viduka again. Beaten in the air this time by Anthopoulos. Savinsky down the line. And it's gone out.
And more importantly, wasted probably 30 seconds. And that's fair enough. They've done a terrific job tonight. I know it's too early to start talking about final results. Anything is possible. But for what they've done so far, you have to admire it. Reduced to 10 men somewhat unfairly, I felt.
Clean tackle by Bujabasic on Trimboli. Away by Kovacevic. Petersen scurrying across to take the throw.
This is danger for the Knights.
Virtually every player in the Melbourne Knights penalty area. And they've forced it just a few metres further away. It's still danger for them, though. Oh, nice tackle and cleared long to no one in particular.
I think South Melbourne's goalkeeper, Anastasiou, could virtually come up to the halfway line now. Because, and understandably, that is the Knights' tactic, just use the clock up as much as possible. That, of course, frustrates South Melbourne and takes the rhythm out of whatever they hope to achieve in these final minutes.
Viduka goes down, he's won the free kick. And he's cramping up at the same time. There's no one leaving Olympic Park early. Marth. We're into time added on now here at Olympic Park as Lawrence looks at his watch. There should be certainly 2 or 3 minutes of injury time, but he hasn't allowed for any. That is quite amazing. But it doesn't matter because it's the Melbourne Knights who have made the grand final. And the most drama-filled match of the season. It was a grand final here in a sense. Viduka, the prodigal son, he returned and he scored a hat-trick. You couldn't ask more of him than that. And Frank Arrow congratulates Mirko Basic. 2 goals from Kombutsianis kept South Melbourne in the match. But it wasn't enough, and the brave South Melbourne players go to the supporters. It was a fairy tale final series for them. The fairy tale has ended, but it continues for the Melbourne Knights supporters, and there are thousands of them here tonight. Mark Viduka will have 7 days to rest any injuries that he brought into the match. And you feel for Lubomir Lapsansky, who it looks like will miss the grand final because of yellow cards. Final score here at Olympic Park. The Melbourne Knights 3, South Melbourne 2. And now here's Les Murray.
Thank you, Paul, and there's absolute jubilation here in front of me among the Melbourne Knights fans, and I think probably a few thousand of them will be travelling to Adelaide next Sunday. Just a reminder that our preview of it all begins with On the Ball at 1:30, and then our grand final preview at 2:30.